What's up, guys? We got a pretty good matchup today. So if you are in the market for an old flagship, these two phones are really good options. Some of my favorites of this year, the iPhone 11 Pro, which I just recently got, really impressive older flagship, and then the S21 Plus. This is also a very good flagship. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so let's go ahead and start off with the price. You can see for excellent condition, you can get an S21 Plus for $289, and then the iPhone excellent condition, the cheapest you can find it for is $354. So this is pretty good. Like I said, you know, both of them are about in that $300 price range, but you can get the S21 Plus a little bit cheaper for sure here. Alright, so I do want to go ahead and talk about the hardware on both of these devices here. Two really nice designs, two matte finishes on here so they don't pick up fingerprints, super easy. And I really like both designs. I think they still look really good. They both are actually pretty comfortable to hold as well too. They both have those pretty nice smooth edges in the palm. And I guess if you wanted to get a bigger version of this, you would go for the max version, but just know with the max version of this phone, it'll be almost like $450, so it is definitely a little bit more expensive for sure. But they're both IP68 dust and water resistant. I actually think they both still look really good in 2023 hardware wise. Alright, so let's talk about the displays on both of these two phones. So with the iPhone 11, this phone does have a 5.8-inch display, which is actually pretty compact for today's standards. It's actually very easy to one hand, so just do note that. It's got the Super Retina XDR OLED display, HDR10, it gets max brightness 1200 nits, and it's 1080p plus 458 for the PPI. It's overall a very good looking display, but as you can see, it has this massive notch, which it looks outdated, but the iPhone, I believe 14 still has a notch. It's a little bit smaller, but it just goes to show how kind of behind Apple is in terms of display design. As you can see with the S21 Plus, it's got a 6.7-inch display, and you can just see it's got the punch hole, very slim bezels on here. It's also a 1080p display, 394 for the PPI, and it's actually slightly brighter at 1300 nits peak brightness. And the cool thing about the S21 Plus is that it's actually 120 hertz compared to the 60 hertz panel on the iPhone. So you guys can see that Samsung has always been really good at displays. Even if you go back to like something like the Galaxy S9, Note 9, those phones still have excellent displays. But obviously the S21 Plus has the better display. It's brighter, it has slimmer bezels, it's just way better for content and gaming. And it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the size, because even if you got the bigger, max version, it's still going to have like this notch. So definitely for just gaming and just watching content on your phone, the S21 Plus is going to be the better phone here. Alright, so let's talk about the specs a little bit more here. So with the iPhone, we are running iOS 16, the Apple A13 chip, 64 gigs of internal storage on here, and then we also have 4 gigs of RAM. And then with the S21, we do have the Android 13, Snapdragon 888, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 8 gigs of RAM on Android 13. As you can see, the iPhone here, it is a little bit faster, as you can see in the single and multi-core on Geekbench 6 here. And alright, so if we do get into a little speed test here, you can see that both these phones are pretty much opening about the same time. In the S21 Plus, honestly, it feels like it's opening a little bit faster here, and I would say it feels faster just because of the 120 hertz compared to the 60 hertz. Just swiping and scrolling and stuff like that, even though the iPhone beat it in benchmarks and stuff like that. So honestly, both these phones are really fast when it comes to performance, for sure. Yeah, so as we can see, like, they're pretty much on par with each other, honestly. Alright, when it comes to games, like I said, it's basically the same thing for a game like PUBG. HDR Extreme, and they both run very smoothly on here. Don't really have too much of an overheating problem on either of these phones here, and same thing for the S21 Plus. And like I said, I just think the gaming experience is just a little bit better because of the display on here. Again, not necessarily the size, but just having the punch hole compared to Apple's bigger notch here. All right, so let's talk about the image quality on here. So with the iPhone 11, we do have a triple camera setup here. So it's a 12 megapixel standard, a 12 megapixel telephoto that does 2 times optical zoom, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K 60 with a 12 megapixel selfie that also shoots in 4K 60. With the S21, we do have a 12 megapixel standard, a 64 megapixel telephoto with 3 times optical, and then we also have a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and this one shoots in 8K 24. And then you have a 10 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. So I took them side by side shots. Be sure to let me know what you guys thought of the images. All right, both these phones have stereo speakers. Let's go ahead and test them out. Max volume. Okay, so two kind of different sound approaches here. The S21 definitely has like a better sound to it. It sounds a little bit cleaner, but it doesn't have as much bass as the iPhone for sure. The iPhone's super bassy, but I don't like I don't like the overall sound of it. But it does have really good bass. Like both of them sound good, but I do like the S21 Plus a little bit more. If you like the more bassy sound, then you'll definitely like the iPhone. It has like that full bass sound, but like the mids and highs sound way better on the S21. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the biometrics. Of course, you're gonna have Face ID on the iPhone, and what's cool about Android, and this is something that I've been asking for a minute from Apple, is you have two options. You can use the fingerprint scanner and you can use the face unlock as well too. I know software is like a big thing. Typically, iPhones get like 5 to 6 years of software support. So we can expect the iPhone 11 to get, let's see, a launch with iOS 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We can expect it to get 18 to 19. It's like I said, typically 5 to 6 years. The S21 Plus, it will get Android 14. And then I believe this should get Android 15, and it will get security patches as well too. But I definitely know it's getting Android 14 for sure, because it falls under that 4 years, I believe. Android 11, 12, 13, 14, yeah, 15, and then it will get security patches after. So as far as software support, these phones are going to be supported, so you don't really have to worry about that for, a few years. Now, my battery experience has been pretty good on both of these phones. Like I said, not anything too crazy. The iPhone 11 Pro here, it does have a 3,400 46 milliamp hour battery, and it's got wireless charging. Does not charge super fast. The S21 Plus, it does have a 4800 milliamp hour battery, and you definitely it definitely feels like I'm getting better battery life on the S21 Plus. But when you buy these used refurbished phones, they're not gonna have 100% battery health. So I know this one has like 83 or 84 or something like that. But yeah, battery life is actually pretty decent on both of these. Even with this one being at 84%, I can still get 6 hours out of this one. But the charging is much faster at 25 watts on here on the S21, and then you have wireless and reverse wireless charging on the S21 Plus. My battery experience has been pretty good with both of these. So overall, two really solid older flagship phones. Definitely, what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know what you guys think.